What's going on, family? Whew, yeah, it has been a roller coaster. Just to give a immediate update on my current location and situation. To be fair, I am feeling more like myself today than I have in the last couple of days. So, things are improving as far as the general overall health situation is concerned. We're gonna see how things play out as far as once I get back to Milwaukee, because I'm not quite there yet. And get things going with the last little bit of wound care that I'm supposed to be doing, and how I'm gonna handle my situation as a whole, at least for the next couple of weeks. Because I am most likely going to end up having to cancel one of my shows, because I do have a show in a couple of weeks. But I think I'd be overdoing it if I decided to actually follow through with that. I think that I'd be putting myself in a position to worsen my health shortly thereafter. Just in the general reference of unnecessarily overworking myself. So I'm gonna contact the showrunner and see what I can do as far as pushing that show back to next year or something like that. Anyway, current location is Burbank, Illinois. I decided to do what I always do when I got too much time on my hands and not enough things to do with my time that have purpose. So, I ended up pushing through yesterday, and probably including stops, bathroom breaks, gas breaks, yada yada yada, which were none of the above were pleasant, because I'm just not used to having my weight on the infected leg, and I'm still moving slower than I was even before all of this went down. So there's that. But yeah, all things considered, once I got on the road yesterday morning, I want to say it was probably around 8 a.m., maybe 9, and I was I was literally on the road till midnight last night. And I got myself from Grenada, Mississippi, all the way up to Burbank, Illinois. And that's where I am now, hanging out over a friend's house who is nice enough to give me space when I travel and need somewhere to crash in between locations. He's been a friend of mine and a colleague for, probably 4 or 5 years now, give or take. But yeah, he's helped me out of a bunch of different binds, and I sincerely appreciate having him in my life, because there are so many times where things could have gone so far south that I would have had no way to recover my situation, or there have been times where I could have ended my situation and not thought twice about it, but he stepped in and gave me, even if only a temporary solution, something to work with to keep me going. So, I don't know if he cares whether or not I state his name, but I'm just gonna be anonymous for now, just out of respect. Anyway, So, the current situation as far as healthcare is concerned, with my infection and my hole in my leg, I'm just gonna start calling that wound care, just because it's becoming less and less of a hole and more of just a wound, and it's very similar to what went on when I had my double knee surgery, and they bolted, oddly enough, the same left leg, bolted bars to my skeleton in order to keep my leg from moving, which was very frustrating because I had a custom made cast that was meant for that leg to avoid all of that, but I could not get my hands on it in a timely manner because its location and my ability to get to it did not align with the timing of my surgery. So, but it is what it is. I still have those, both of them, because I had one made for each leg, and I will probably end up cutting them up and making them into something at some point in time, maybe like a cosplay or something. We'll see. Anyway, complete another tangent. Healthcare situation. So, first and foremost, I've been switched to antibiotics, and I take as a pill twice a day. Just took it earlier today, right when I woke up. And it's pretty much just an antibiotic, which I have a prescription that's supposed to last me roughly a week. So they figure that, you know, what's left of the infection should be gone by then. And then I have the wound care, which I'm making it a point moving forward. I wish I had done this or mentioned this sooner, because I probably would be farther along as far as the shrinking of that leg and the lessening of the swelling in general. But the wound care for that leg now, for me, mandatorily involves compression wrap. Because, I mean, I knew this beforehand. I just, articulating what I know and being in the moment of the situation that needs to be articulated are two different things. And making sure that I say what I need to say to advocate for myself sometimes can be a bit problematic. I have a very annoying habit of remembering the smarter thing to have said, or the one thing that I should have said, that would have made the situation a bit better after the situation is already over. But it is what it is. So yeah, I mean, that's my primary thing at the moment, which the wound care, until I feel comfortable handling it myself, I'm most likely going to be going in on a daily basis to a clinic not too far from my shop that will handle the wound care, or at least handle it a couple of days and teach me what I need to know to start doing it on my own, or whatever the case may be. We'll see how it plays out. Honestly, I don't feel comfortable doing it myself, just because of the current situation and my resources in regards to when and where I could even manage that kind of stuff. I'm working on overhauling. Honestly, I'm working on overhauling my life as a whole. There's a lot of things that are at play that just need to be cut out. There are a lot of things that just need to be revisited and revised so that they function in my current state. Because there's a lot of things that are happening in my life that were designed to function perfectly fine before I had my accident in 2020. Before the double knee surgery, before all the rehab and recovery and all of that. All of that was working perfectly fine. And I never truly had a moment to sit down, stop, just straight up stop, and say, how can I revamp this to suit my current state? I was just constantly hitting the ground running. I spent the last literally 6 years just tumbling and figuring out a way to get my feet back underneath me so I can spend less time with my shoulders on the ground and more time with my feet on the ground so that I can actually function as opposed to survive. But truth be told, I ended up spending the majority of that time just straight up surviving because I couldn't really get myself situated. So the next couple of weeks, that's pretty much what I'm planning on doing. Pausing everything and taking a hard look at what I got going on to revise the overall situation so that I can function in not only in my current state, but treat my current state as a base state so that I can build off of that as I get better. Because what I've basically been doing is trying to catch up to a place that I haven't been physically capable of being for 6 years now. And obviously it's survival wise it's worked out, but functionality wise it really hasn't. Things have just been spiraling on the edge of out of control, but never actually going out of control. Just because I always find a way, a miracle, whatever you want to call it. There's always something that pulls me back from that edge and from tipping over and going off of the deep end as far as spiraling out is concerned. And I want to change that. Not only because this health scare kind of sort of told me that needed to be done, because honestly, I really feel like, I don't care what anybody says, I really feel like this was stress induced. Because I don't really believe in stress per se. I process stress differently than most people, but at the same time, being overwhelmed is being overwhelmed, regardless of the situations or circumstances involved. And at the end of the day, I spent the last 6 years being overwhelmed and making it work. And a lot of that, I think, actually has to do with myself and putting myself in the proper light to myself to avoid overdoing my everything in order to tell myself or treat myself like I am no less than who I was before. And I am going to take a moment to take this phone offline because I was not expecting a random amount of people to start messaging me frequently in the middle of me taking a video. Okay. You're probably still hearing it in the background because I have a secondary phone that Messenger still connected to. Anyway, so yeah, the next few weeks are going to be me overhauling my life as a whole. Not only am I looking to kind of reorganize the van, but I want to place things that belong to me in places with people that I am connected to help minimize the amount of stuff that's in here that's necessary. It's gonna take me a long time just because of my hoarding tendency to truly become a minimalist. But let's just say that I'm working on getting on that road. I'm somewhere in the middle right now. I've been able to walk away from large swaths of property that belong to me that I've just been spending money holding on to for the sake of holding on to and never really having access to it. So, I've already gotten over the hump of being able to let things go. Now it's more of a matter of refining and fine-tuning my ability to figure out what I need now, what I need later, and what I can hold on to in other places to not necessarily have everything I need or think I need in one location, that being the van. Because I can't function the way that I want to function with the van because I have too much stuff in it. Like you can kind of sort of see it behind me right now. There's barely any room to move around inside the vehicle outside of the driver's area because I'm constantly tossing stuff back there when I get new stuff. Now, to be fair, it's like it is now because I got new stuff. That being mobility equipment from the hospital. I got a wheelchair and a walker. So now I own two walkers. I'm probably going to take the old walker and leave it with a friend and kind of just hold on to it for spare parts. We'll see how that plays out. But yeah, I got a new walker and I got a new wheelchair. And now that I have a new wheelchair, one of the things that I definitely need to do is let go of the wheelchair parts that I have at the shop that I have no need for, because I was essentially working my way into building my own wheelchair because getting a wheelchair seemed impossible. And that's kind of the silver lining of the situation as a whole. Specifically getting the wheelchair, because there are times and places where it just makes more sense to be able to utilize the wheelchair than it does to try to walk or try to use any other means of moving around. Eventually, there will be an addition to the wheelchair, which will give me a bit more mobility, get me back to where I was when I had a mobility scooter. I'm working on some ideas, whether they be custom built or bought, doesn't matter at this point. But I'm working on some ideas, and hopefully I can get that situated in a way that doesn't play negatively to my overall situation in the van. But yeah, definitely gonna do an entire overhaul of the van, which I will hopefully be able to recruit help for that. Actually, I'm pretty sure I will. I just need to coordinate with the person involved that I'm thinking of, or one of the couple people that I'm thinking of. Reach out and do things for the most part by their schedule. That way I can be more guaranteed to get the help that I need from an able-bodied person that can, get something done in 15 minutes that will take me 6 or 7 fucking hours. But yeah, I digress. Other than that, I'm probably going to. I'm gonna revamp my general schedule as far as the shows that I do, have the frequency of shows that I do, the location of shows that I do. I'm definitely until I feel comfortable in the winter, in the snow, just like straight up comfortable, I am going to be avoiding the Midwest, the north half of the country, every winter. I'm just gonna keep it real. I'm a snowbird bit because I'm not trying to have any setbacks. So any shows that I do around that time of year will definitely be stuff that will be either in the South or in the Southwest. Just because I don't want to deal with that kind of weather. And if I can avoid it, I will avoid it. But yeah, I probably will just drop down to maybe 2 shows a month. Which is probably better for me anyway as a whole, just because timing wise, getting stuff done between shows, being able to catch up on commissions, so on and so forth, I'm going to end up needing that time. So, to wrap all of that up, what I'm basically saying is I'm going to spend the next roughly 2-3 weeks, possibly a month, because if I cancel the show that I'm thinking about out in North Dakota, then I'm pretty sure there's another 2 weeks or 3 weeks before I have the next show after that. So, and that show is a couple weeks away. So I'm pretty sure that gives me about a month, roughly, to get my life together. And I'm actually going to actively try to get my life together. I'm going to make the moves I need to make. I'm going to place myself in the situations necessary for better self-care. I know that sounds kind of cryptic, but it is what it is. I'm not going to get into the specifics or details of that. Just know that the plan is to, 1, be better about my self-care, 2, be better about handling my work-life balance and general functionality of everything I got going on, and 3, I'm going to improve my quality of life. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about that, and I may end up having to cut some ties with some people in order to do that. I hurt some feelings, but I need to do what I need to do for myself. And I am, at the moment, 46 years old, and I have pretty much spent the majority of my life being helpful to everybody else but myself. Going out of my way to help others, maintain things for others, be the support system for others, be the backbone for others, be the fallback for others in some shape, form, or fashion. And I spent the last 6 years learning that for the hundreds of, roughly, I'm gonna be honest, roughly hundreds of people that I've done that for, almost none of them, when it was my turn to need that, have reciprocated that. A few have, but the majority of them haven't. And a part of me is, life happens. I don't blame them. because not everybody's life, not everybody's mindset comes off in a fashion where they're willing to put down what they're doing, sacrifice what they got going on for the benefit of somebody else. Whether it's short term or long term doesn't really matter. Fortunately, I'm that guy. I quite literally moved from this is back in 2006-ish, something way back in the day. I literally moved from Chicago back to Milwaukee to be helpful to family that has not proven to be helpful to me. I'm not going to get into any specifics, but let's just say that at the end of the day, honestly, I wouldn't be where I am right now if it wasn't for that, because of the makerspace that got me involved with laser cutting, that got me where I am now with running the business. But at the same time, I literally, completely and utterly changed my life trajectory for somebody else. And that was back when I was in my 20s. And I don't regret it, but I do wish I had been more efficient with it and more effective with it, because there's a lot of things that could be better right now had I been on top of that properly. But another tangent, we're going to step away from that now because I'm aware of that tangent in play. So wrap this all up so that we don't go past half an hour, because I really don't like doing videos that are longer than half an hour unless it's watching the laser cutter do its job. Anyway, yeah, on that note, part of the revamp is going to be being able to set up shop properly inside the vehicle to be able to do laser engraving in the vehicle. And one of the main reasons in regards to that is because of questionable weather. Like, it's cool to be able to open up the back and set things up, pull some stuff out, set things up, and be able to sit at the back of the vehicle in a random parking lot, at a random rest stop, whatever, engraving a bunch of stuff. But some days it's just a heavy thunderstorm and I can't do that, or the air is just too moist and things are not quite cutting out right or engraving right, and yada yada yada. So there are many reasons why being able to at least utilize the small laser cutter inside the vehicle is important to me. And just being able to move around inside the vehicle is important to me as well, because I do kind of feel trapped, in the driver's seat, and I don't like that. But anyway, that's pretty much the long and short of the situation. My health is on the upward trajectory, and I don't see anything happening to change that. At least not drastically change it to go in the reverse. So I think we're clear of the worst of all of it when all said and done. So I think everybody can, breathe a sigh of relief for the most part, that I should be generally okay. How long it takes me to get back to being able to function where I was when I was just dealing with the double knee surgery recovery is questionable. We'll see. Hopefully a couple weeks at most. Hopefully. Otherwise, getting myself situated so that I can get more exercise in and get more done for my physical health is a high priority for me now, more than ever. Especially seeing as I accidentally ended up losing a bunch of weight that I didn't know that I had lost until they decided to weigh me right before I left the hospital. And that kind of threw me for a loop, really surprised me. But now that I know the situation, I am going to utilize the situation and try to continue down that path. I'm not looking to lose a bunch of weight because at the end of the day, we all know that muscle is more dense than fat. So, you know, it's as I lose weight, get more athletic, and get more mobile in general, I'm gonna end up fluctuating a lot, because for every 5 pounds of fat that I lose, I'm gonna gain like probably 7 to 10 pounds of muscle, taking up that same amount of space, if not 15. I'm not really sure what the ratio is, but I'm not gonna get into all of that. Just know that I have learned that, which is kind of odd, now that I'm thinking about it. Usually most people, when they go into the hospital, they tend to gain weight. But yeah, I lost weight while I was in the hospital, and I'm going to continue that trend as much as I can, given my situation and circumstances and what I can pull off and what I'm capable of with what I got, and then augment that to the best of my ability without overburdening myself and my situation. So anyway, that's pretty much it. I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you for listening up to this point. I appreciate you guys. Every, view, every comment. It reminds me that people actually care. Because sometimes I forget that. Sometimes I need a reminder that I'm not emotionally alone in my situation, and that people actually give a crap. Not just because, I make cool stuff with lasers, not just because, I'm a fun guy to be around, not just, just whatever reason. But just know that I appreciate the fact that you put in time to listen to me talk about my situation, and hopefully on the back end of all of this, when I get back into the travel stuff, as well as the laser cutting stuff and the convention stuff, you guys will keep following, you guys will keep paying attention. But it is what it is. I'm not gonna get all into the nuts and bolts and minutia of that, because that's all in the future. But like, subscribe, all of that happy nonsense that the algorithm needs in order to keep me relevant. And thank you again from the bottom of my heart. Until next time, I will see you guys later. Peace.